The grand hall of the Galactic Council was silent. It stretched wider than any ocean, filled with glowing banners from 1,000 worlds. Voices from across the stars usually echoed here, but tonight a strange stillness ruled the chamber. Every delegate's gaze turned toward one single spot, a seat made of silver and stone, untouched for centuries. That seat belonged to Earth. No one remembered when it was last occupied. The stories of humans had become myths told to scare children, tales of creatures who once rose from a small blue planet, challenged the stars, and then vanished. To most, Earth was only a forgotten chapter in history, but the seat remained, empty, waiting. Above the council, a massive hollow display flickered with starlight. Suddenly it glitched. Lines of static cut through the stars, and a soft sound filled the air, not mechanical but human. A voice whispered through the silence. "We remember." Every creature in the hall froze. The delegates from the core systems looked at one another. The Syrian archivist hissed, "That language. Ancient Terran standard." The council speaker, a tall creature with crystal skin, slammed his staff on the floor. "Impossible. Earth has been gone for over 300 cycles." But the signal continued, this time louder. "We remember who we are." The sound echoed like thunder. Energy rippled across the chamber's glass floor. Lights dimmed. Every display across the galaxy began to flash the same symbol, a circle with a single blue line through it. The mark of Earth. Panic spread. The Council's communication officers rushed to decode the source. The signal came from Sector 9, the Outer Rim, a place long abandoned, full of dead worlds and drifting relics. The speaker's voice shook. "Find the origin, now." In deep space, beyond the Council's reach, a fleet of dark, silent ships moved through the void. Their hulls were marked with ancient Earth symbols, faded, scarred, but proud. Inside the lead ship, Captain Arin Vale opened his eyes for the first time in centuries. The cryo-sleep chamber hissed as the mist cleared. He stood weakly, staring at the cold steel walls. A hologram flickered before him, the Earth emblem glowing faintly. "Mission time, year 3429, said the ship's system voice. "Legacy protocol active," Arin whispered. "So, it's time." Around him, hundreds of pods began to open. Men and women of the Earthborn Fleet awoke, each wearing the same black uniform, marked by a silver insignia shaped like a rising sun. Their ancestors had once left Earth behind, carrying one final command: when they forget us, remind them who we were, outside. Their ships glided past broken moons and dead stations, heading toward the galactic center. They did not broadcast names or warnings. They moved like ghosts returning from a grave. Back in the council hall, the panic turned to fear. Reports arrived from patrol sectors, unknown ships moving in perfect formation, technology unseen since the ancient wars. "They are human," one of the officers whispered. The speaker's crystal hands shook. "Humans, no, they were destroyed. The records lied," the officer replied quietly. The council floor erupted in arguments. Some demanded preparation for war. Others whispered that maybe, just maybe, the legends were true, that the humans had never died, only disappeared by choice. The oldest member of the council, a reptilian elder, spoke softly. "When humans walked among us, we feared them not because they were strong, but because they refused to bow." The speaker looked again at the glowing empty seat. The symbol of Earth now burned across it like fire. "They are coming," he said, voice trembling. Meanwhile, aboard the human flagship Resolute, Captain Arin stood at the observation deck. Before him stretched the endless void, filled with stars that once feared their kind. One of his officers approached. "So the Council will see us as a threat," Arin smiled faintly. "Let them. We are not coming to conquer. We are coming to remember." The officer looked out at the fleet, thousands of ships in silent formation. "Do you think they'll understand why we left?" "Maybe not," Arin said, "but they will know we never bowed." The fleet engines ignited, burning with a pale blue light, not of war but of awakening. The humans set course toward the heart of the galaxy, toward the seat that had waited for ages. In the grand hall, As the council's alarms blared, the speaker turned to his guards. "Seal the chamber. Prepare for emergency assembly. If the humans have truly returned, the galaxy must remember what it forgot." But the seat of Earth, once cold and dark, now glowed softly with blue light. The name Terra appeared on its base for the first time in 1,000 years, and across the stars, humanity's voice whispered once more, steady, proud, and timeless. "We bow to no one." Darkness stretched across the void as the Earthborn Fleet moved deeper into the outer rim. Their ships glided silently, cutting through starlight like shadows of a forgotten past. Inside the flagship Resolute, Captain Arin Vale stood at the command deck, watching the endless dark. His reflection stared back from the glass, half human, half machine, and all determination. "Status report," he said calmly. Lieutenant Mira Solis, his second-in-command, replied. "All systems green. Cryochambers stable. We have over 300,000 sleepers still waiting for awakening orders." Arin nodded. "They will wake when we reach the core, not before." For centuries they had slept, waiting for one signal, the right moment. And now that moment had come. The Legacy Protocol had activated, triggered by unknown forces. None of them knew who sent the message first, the Council or something older. But Arin knew one thing: humanity's return was no accident. As the fleet advanced, ancient satellites drifted past, broken, rusted relics from the first expansion era. On their hulls, the faded words "United Earth Command" could still be read. Mira slowed the ship. "Captain, look at that." On the nearest satellite, faint blue lights blinked to life one by one, like eyes opening after centuries of sleep. A signal pulsed weakly through space. The ship's computer began translating it, static filling the room before a voice emerged, tired, mechanical, and human. "To whoever finds this, Earth's seat must remain empty. Until we return." Everyone on the deck fell silent. The message repeated again and again, each time weaker. Mira whispered, "They knew. They left this for us." Arin's gaze hardened. "Then we keep our promise. We remind the galaxy that Earth never bowed." Meanwhile, light years away, in the grand hall of the Galactic Council, chaos ruled. The mysterious signal from the rim had spread through every communication network. Entire star systems began talking about the Returners, an old human myth that warned of the day when Earth would rise again. The council speaker slammed his crystal staff on the floor. "We need control before fear spreads across the core." The Syrian archivist hissed. "Control!" "You cannot control memory." The moment their name appeared, every archive lit up. Even our oldest data cores are rewriting themselves. It's like history is coming alive again. Hollow screens showed endless lines of data, old recordings that were once deleted, now restored automatically. Humans, their cities, their wars, their courage, everything the galaxy had erased was returning. The Council was terrified. "We cannot allow them to reach us," shouted a Van Dominion delegate. "If the humans return, they will take revenge." The speaker turned slowly toward him. "Then we will remind them who rules this galaxy now." He ordered fleets from 3 great empires to intercept any unknown vessels moving toward the core. Massive armadas began to move, forming walls of light between the humans and the Council's heart worlds. Back on the Resolute, Arin received the first transmission from the Council blockade. The alien voice was cold and arrogant. "This is the Galactic Council Defense Fleet. Unknown vessels, you are entering restricted territory. Identify yourselves or be destroyed." Arin didn't answer. He stood silent, watching the glowing barrier of ships on his display. The humans had faced this tone before, long ago, when they first reached the stars and were told they didn't belong. Mira looked at him. "Orders, Captain?" "Hold position," Arin said. "No weapons, no transmissions. Just let them see us." Moments later, one of the alien ships opened fire, a warning shot. But before the energy blast could hit, it froze mid-space, distorted by an invisible field. The human ships didn't move, didn't counterattack. They simply absorbed the energy, like shadows swallowing light. The alien fleet panicked. Engines flared, comms filled with static, and one by one, their systems shut down. The humans still said nothing. The Resolute moved forward, passing silently through the blockade. The galaxy watched. Billions of eyes across hundreds of worlds stared at the same broadcast. The forgotten children of Earth were walking through fire without fear. At the council, the speaker's voice trembled. They didn't fight back. The elder reptilian counselor whispered, "Because they don't need to." For the first time in ages, the word human carried meaning again, not as a curse, but as a warning. Far away, Arin stood alone in the observation dome, staring at the stars ahead. His reflection overlapped with the blue light of Earth's symbol glowing on the glass. He closed his eyes and thought of the planet that once was, the oceans, the sky, the cities that had burned and risen again. "We've been gone too long," he said quietly. "They forgot us. But we remember every name, every flame, every loss." Behind him, Mira asked, "Do you think they'll listen when we arrive?" Arin smiled faintly. "They will have no choice, because the truth speaks louder than fear." The ship's computer interrupted. "Captain, new signal detected. Origin core of the galaxy." Message repeating. Arin turned. "Play it." Static filled the room again. Then a voice emerged, faint but familiar. "Earthborn. You were never meant to return." Everyone froze. The transmission ended abruptly. The deck lights dimmed, flickering as if the ship itself was reacting. Arin stared at the void ahead. Something, or someone, in the core had just warned them to stop. But humanity had never been good at obeying warnings. The fleet engines roared to life once more, blue trails stretching across the stars. The forgotten signal had awoken more than memory. It had awakened destiny, and deep within the Council's heart, the empty seat of Earth continued to glow brighter, waiting for its owners to come home. The stars around the Earthborn Fleet began to change. The deeper they traveled into the core systems, the stranger the light became. Blue stars dimmed, red suns burned colder, and the silence grew heavy. Almost alive, Captain Arin Vale stood at the main deck window of the Resolute, his reflection blending with the darkness beyond. "We're getting close," he said softly. Lieutenant Mira Solis checked her monitor. "The coordinates point to a planet ahead, sir. It used to be a Terran colony. Records name it Erivos Prime." Arin frowned. "I thought all human colonies were destroyed after the Betrayal War." Mira nodded slowly. "That's what the Council made everyone believe." The fleet dropped out of warp, and before them appeared the broken remains of a once-living world. Erivos Prime floated in silence, its surface scarred by old bombardments. Black dust storms danced across the planet's remains. The scanners detected no life, only ruins and faint power readings deep underground. Arin's voice was steady. "Prepare a landing team. I'll lead it." Moments later, the shuttle touched down on the dead planet. The ground cracked beneath their boots. Skies were dark and filled with ash. Old human structures lay shattered, steel towers bent under the weight of centuries. One soldier whispered, "So this is what they left behind." Arin walked ahead, his flashlight cutting through the dust. Then something caught his eye. A tall monument made of dark stone, still standing in the middle of the ruins. Its surface was burned and scratched, but the words engraved on it were clear: "We bow to no one." The entire team froze. For a long moment, no one spoke. Even the wind seemed to stop. Mira stepped closer and traced her fingers over the words. "It's real. The stories were true. Our ancestors carved this before they fell." Arin stared at the monument. "Not before they fell, before they chose to disappear." Behind the monument, they found a sealed underground door. The team broke it open and entered a dim tunnel. Inside, the walls were lined with glowing blue veins of unknown energy. The air was heavy but warm, humming like a living heart. They reached a large chamber. In its center stood a huge machine half buried in dust, a beacon. Its surface carried the emblem of Earth. Arin stepped forward and brushed off the dirt. A soft light awakened on its surface. The beacon spoke in a calm, old human voice. "If you are hearing this, then the legacy protocol is complete. The galaxy has forgotten. Now it will remember." The team looked at each other, unsure whether to be afraid or proud. The message continued. They betrayed us. They erased our name. But humanity does not vanish, we evolve. You, the descendants, carry our will, reclaim what was lost, but never forget who we were. The beacon faded. Only silence remained. Mira's eyes glowed with emotion. They wanted us to find this. They planned everything, Arin nodded. This wasn't an accident. Someone long ago wanted us to return exactly now. As they prepared to leave, one of the soldiers shouted, "Sir, movement detected!" Dark shapes crawled out of the ruins, machines, old war drones, still active after centuries. Their eyes glowed red, targeting the humans. Arin drew his sidearm. Defense mode. The drones opened fire. Energy blasts scorched the ground. The team took cover and returned fire, hitting the drones one by one. The air filled with smoke and metal fragments. Arin moved fast, firing with precision, his voice steady amid the chaos. Finally, the last drone exploded. Silence returned. The dust settled slowly over the ruins. Mira breathed heavily. These were Terran models, old Earth war machines. But why attack us? Arin looked at the wreckage. They weren't attacking us. They were guarding this place, protecting the beacon until someone worthy arrived. Back aboard the Resolute, the data from the beacon was uploaded. It revealed coordinates directly to the galactic core, the heart of the Council's domain. But it also showed something else. Records of the Great Betrayal, a holographic video played. It showed images of humans being hunted, ships being destroyed, and Council leaders signing secret orders to erase all traces of Earth's name. The betrayal wasn't a war, it was an execution. Arin's face darkened. They didn't fear our power. They feared our freedom. Mira clenched her fists. They made us ghosts. Now they'll meet the ghosts they created. The captain turned to his crew. Set course for the core, full speed. No cloaking. Let them see us coming. As the engines roared, the galaxy's news networks lit up with fear. The words spread fast. The humans have returned. In the Galactic Council, alarms blared. The speaker's voice was sharp and panicked. Every world must prepare. If they reach the core, the Council will fall. But the old reptilian councillor only smiled bitterly. You cannot stop what is already remembered. The Council looked at the empty Earth seat, glowing brighter than ever. The shadows of humanity had returned, not as conquerors, but as the memory that refused to die in the void. Captain Arin looked toward the glowing center of the galaxy and whispered, Erevos remembered. Now it's their turn. The fleet burned forward through the dark, their engines like rising suns. The forgotten children of Earth were done hiding. They were coming home. The grand hall of the Galactic Council burned with noise and panic. Every screen glowed red. Every delegate shouted across the chamber. Alarms pulsed through the golden towers of the council capital, Lumeris Prime, echoing across the marble walls like the heartbeat of a frightened god. The speaker struck his staff hard against the floor, but no one listened. Silence! He shouted, his crystal voice breaking. We must remain united. But unity was already gone. Reports flashed on the central holotable, human ships advancing toward the core at impossible speeds, slipping through blockades as if space itself bent around them. Armadas sent to intercept had vanished, leaving only silence behind. The Varn Dominion ambassador hissed, They destroyed 3 fleets in minutes. Nothing like this technology exists. The Syrian archivist replied, Destroyed. No wreckage, no debris, no transmission. Perhaps they did not fight at all. The speaker turned sharply. Then where are our ships? The archivist's voice dropped low. Gone. Like whispers swallowed by the void. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy's rulers felt fear. On the lower level, the old reptilian counselor, scaled, calm and ancient, spoke softly. You forget why we erased them. The humans were not powerful because of weapons. They were powerful because they believed they were free. His words spread like smoke. The speaker glared. Enough of your ghost stories. They are flesh now, not myth. And flesh can be destroyed. He turned to his aides. Summon the Vanguard fleet. Every empire will contribute. We stop them here, or we lose the galaxy. Far across the stars, the Earthborn Fleet continued its silent march. Inside the Resolute, Captain Arin Vale stood at the command deck. Holoscreens displayed council broadcasts, panic, emergency meetings, even rumors that humans carried world-killing technology. Mira Solis watched the screens and said quietly, "They still don't understand. They think we came to conquer." Arin's eyes remained fixed on the glowing seat emblem projected before him. "Let them think it. Fear makes them listen faster," the ship's AI interrupted. "Incoming transmission. Source, Council Vanguard Fleet." Arin nodded. "Put it through." A holographic figure appeared, the council speaker himself, tall and shimmering, his crystal skin catching the blue glow. "Captain of the unknown fleet, you are trespassing in sovereign territory. You bring chaos to peaceful worlds. Identify yourself and explain your purpose." Arin stared coldly at the projection. "You already know who we are. We believed your kind extinct." "Extinct," Arin repeated softly. "That's what you wanted, isn't it? You left the galaxy in flames. You refused to obey council law." Arin's tone grew firm, but calm. "We refuse to kneel. There's a difference." The speaker's image flickered, his voice tightening. "If you continue toward the core, you will face the full power of the council." Arin stepped closer to the holofeed, his eyes sharp as a blade. "Then you will face what your ancestors feared most. Not our power. Our memory." He cut the transmission. In the council hall, the speaker stood frozen as the connection ended. The hall erupted again. Shouts, panic, demands for defense. The Syrian archivist looked at the speaker. He spoke like an ancestor, not a soldier. The speaker clenched his fists. "Enough! Prepare the fleets." Out in space, near the Vale Nebula, thousands of alien warships gathered, forming the largest fleet the galaxy had ever seen. Shields flickered, weapons charged, banners of different empires united under one fear, the return of Earth. The humans approached slowly, not hiding, not fighting. Their formation was perfect, silent, as if guided by something beyond human. From the command deck of the Resolute, Mira whispered, "They've blocked our path." 30,000 ships at least. Arin studied the display, then smiled faintly. "And yet, not one of them dares to fire first." The fleet stared across the void. For long minutes no one moved. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. Then a single human ship broke formation and moved forward. It projected an image into space, an enormous blue hologram of the Earth seat from the council hall. The same seat glowing now on Lumeris Prime. A voice broadcast across every channel, every ship, every world. "You left our seat empty for ages. You said we were gone, but we remember, and we bow to no one." The message repeated again and again, shaking the galaxy's networks. Civilian worlds stopped everything to listen. Some watched in awe, others in fear, but no one ignored it. In the council hall, the glowing Earth seat suddenly blazed brighter, lighting the chamber in blue fire. The speaker stepped back, shielding his eyes. The reptilian elder whispered, "It responds to them. It knows they are near." The speaker shouted, "Cut the power!" Now, but the seat didn't stop. Energy spread from it like waves, pulsing through the floor, connecting to every council system. Across the galaxy, old archives unlocked automatically. Forgotten data filled the screens. Human history, truths erased for centuries, now flooded the public networks. The betrayal, the erasure, the exile, everything was revealed. Worlds turned against the council. Protests began. Millions demanded answers. The speaker stared at the chaos unfolding on the screens. "They're not fighting us with ships. They're fighting us with the truth." The old counselor smiled faintly. "And truth is the one thing you cannot erase twice." As the Resolute and its fleet moved closer to the core, Arin stood on the bridge, watching the blue glow spread through the stars. He knew the galaxy was watching. He knew they feared. But he also knew something deeper. Hope was awakening. He looked at Mira. "Prepare a transmission to all systems. When we reach Lumeris, the galaxy will see who we truly are, "And who are we, Captain?" she asked quietly. Arin smiled. "We are the shadow they tried to bury. We are the voice they silenced. We are Earth." The fleet roared forward through the starfields, unstoppable, luminous, alive, and in the halls of the Council. Beneath the blinding light of the awakening seat, the speaker whispered in terror, "They're coming." The grand hall of the Galactic Council had never seen such chaos. The air shimmered with blue energy pulsing from the Earth's seat. Sparks danced across the floor. Every holoscreen glowed with ancient human symbols, and the galaxy's leaders stood frozen, unable to look away. The Speaker of the Council stood trembling before the glowing seat, shouting at his engineers, "Shut it down! Pull the power feeds!" But it was no longer connected to their systems. The seat was alive, drawing energy not from cables, but from something older, deeper. The old reptilian counselor watched silently, his golden eyes reflecting the blue light. "You cannot shut down what was made to remember," he said softly. The speaker glared at him. "You knew this would happen?" "I warned you," the elder replied, his voice calm. "When you erased them, the seat was never truly empty. It was waiting." The speaker turned back to the throne. The Earth emblem burned bright on its surface, and a hologram flickered above it, an image of Earth itself, the blue planet once thought lost forever. Oceans shimmered, clouds drifted, cities sparkled under starlight. The hall filled with gasps. Delegates whispered in disbelief. "Earth, it's still alive?" But the image shifted. The planet darkened. Flames rose. Billions of screams echoed faintly through the hall. The hologram showed the great betrayal. Humans standing against alien fleets, defending their worlds, refusing to kneel. And then silence. The planet vanished into black. The hall fell into heavy silence. The truth stood before them all. What the Council had done long ago, what they tried to bury. The speaker's voice shook. This cannot be real." The reptilian elder looked at him. "It is more real than your lies." Far from the core, the Earthborn Fleet crossed the final stretch of dark space. The galaxy watched live as thousands of ships formed a gleaming path through the stars. Civilians on every world stopped their work, staring at their holoscreens. Children whispered the word human as if it were magic. Inside the Resolute, Captain Arin Vale stood tall. His gaze locked on the distant glow of Lumeris Prime. Lieutenant Mira Solis said quietly, "Transmission from the Council. They want a meeting." "A peace talk, they claim." Arin's tone was calm but firm. "Peace talk? No, we don't want peace. We want truth." He turned to his crew. "They erased our name from history. Today we write it back." The bridge fell silent. The only sound was the low hum of the ship's engines. The Resolute began its final approach. The Council's defense fleets moved aside, not from command, but from fear. Some even broadcast messages of respect, captains bowing their ships in silent apology. As they neared the core, the energy from the glowing seat inside the Council hall suddenly flared. A shock-wave of light rippled through the core systems. Every star within 100 light-years flickered. Then, something impossible happened. The seat of Earth began to lift. It rose into the air, shining brighter than any sun. Holographic symbols spun around it, fragments of human DNA, the old Terran flag, and faces of humanity's past. Explorers, scientists, soldiers, and dreamers. The hall trembled. The delegates fell to their knees. The speaker stumbled backward, terrified, and then the seat spoke. "For ages you forgot. For ages you lied. But memory does not die." The voice was human, but not a single person. It was a chorus, millions of voices merged together, echoing through the hall. "We gave you peace. You gave us silence. We gave you knowledge. You gave us exile. Yet still we rise." At that moment, the Resolute and its fleet entered orbit above Lumeris Prime. The Council screens displayed their arrival in real time. 1,000 ships stood in perfect formation, their engines glowing blue like burning hearts, Mira whispered. "They can see us now." Arin stepped forward. "Then let them remember." He sent a single transmission open to the entire galaxy. No encryption, no codes, just words. We left our seat empty, not because we were weak, but because you were not ready. You ruled in fear. You erased our name, but humanity does not kneel. We remember who we are. Across the stars, billions of beings watched. On distant worlds, some wept, some cheered, some prayed. In the council hall, the Earth seat responded to Arin's words. Its light shifted, forming a bridge of pure energy that stretched upward, through the roof, into the sky, reaching toward the fleet above. The speaker shouted, "What is this?" "What are they doing?" The elder counselor whispered, "They are coming home." A flash of light filled the hall. The figures of Arin and his officers appeared within the chamber, formed by the glowing energy bridge. Their forms were solid, real. They had arrived. Every delegate stepped back in fear. The air itself seemed to bow before their presence. Arin looked around the chamber, his calm gaze meeting the trembling speaker. "You kept our seat empty. Now we reclaim it." He walked toward the glowing throne. The light dimmed as he approached, welcoming him. He placed his hand upon the seat's armrest, and the entire hall fell silent. The council systems flickered. Every hologram across the galaxy shifted to show the same image, Captain Arin Vale standing beside the Earth's seat. He sat down, and the galaxy changed forever. The hall vibrated with energy, not violent but alive. The seat of Earth pulsed once, twice, then stabilized. The blue glow softened, spreading warmth across the chamber. The stars outside shimmered in response. Mira stood behind him, whispering, "They're watching us everywhere." Arin smiled faintly. "Good, then they'll know the truth. Earth has returned." In that moment, every being across the galaxy saw the same message appear on their screens. The seat of Earth is no longer empty, and beneath it, a simple line that silenced even the loudest world. "We bow to no one." The galaxy held its breath. Every world, every ship, every living soul was watching as Captain Arin Vale sat upon the seat of Earth, the throne that had stood empty for centuries. The soft blue light of the seat spread across the grand hall of the Galactic Council, wrapping the chamber in a strange silence. For the first time in ages, no one spoke. The Speaker of the Council stood frozen, his ornate robes trembling. "You have no right. This chamber belongs to the Council," he shouted, but even his voice cracked beneath the weight of the moment. Arin looked at him calmly, his voice low and steady. "You called it your chamber after you buried us. You built your empire on silence. We are here to end that silence." The speaker slammed his fist on the table. "You can't rule again! Humanity is gone. You are a myth." Arin stood, and the air shifted around him. "Do I look like a myth to you?" Behind him, the holographic energy bridge still glowed. His fleet floated above the planet, 1,000 ships in perfect formation, silent guardians of a forgotten legacy. Lieutenant Mira Solis stepped beside him. "Transmission ready, sir!" "Every world is still tuned in," Arin nodded. "Let them all see." She touched her wrist console. The hall's holographic walls flickered, and suddenly the galaxy itself was visible, millions of worlds spinning beneath the light of distant suns. Arin's voice carried through the stars. "For ages you ruled by fear. You erased us from your books, destroyed our cities, and turned our allies into slaves. You said humanity was gone." He paused, his voice hardening. "But we are not gone. We were watching. We were rebuilding. We remember," the speaker sneered. "You expect us to bow to you? To the ghosts of a forgotten world?" Arin's expression didn't change. "No, you misunderstand." He stepped down from the seat and looked directly into the speaker's eyes. "We don't ask anyone to bow. We never did. We only ask that no one tries to make us kneel again." Gasps echoed through the hall. The words spread across every screen in the galaxy. Children whispered them. Soldiers repeated them. Slaves raised their heads for the first time in generations. "We bow to no one." The phrase became a heartbeat that shook the core. Suddenly, the floor of the council hall trembled. Energy readings spiked. The engineers screamed, "The seat, it's reacting!" Blue lightning cracked through the chamber. The ancient human technology deep inside the seat awakened completely. The holograms shifted. showing old recordings of humanity's first contact with alien races, their first peace treaties, their great battles, their last stand. It was not an attack. It was a message. The galaxy watched history unfold, the story of a species that built bridges, then was betrayed by those who feared them. The room glowed brighter until one last image appeared, a human child holding the flag of Earth. Standing beneath the words, "Never forget who you are," the reptilian elder, silent all this time, took a step forward. His voice trembled with respect. "Captain Vale," he said slowly, "your people were wronged, I remember. My ancestors served beside yours. The Council feared what they could not control. But we, some of us, never forgot." He bowed deeply. The speaker shouted, "No, no one bows to them." But the elder ignored him. He turned toward Arin and said, "We bow not to power, but to honor. And your kind has earned that once more." Arin shook his head. "Rise, counselor. We didn't come for worship. We came for truth." The elder smiled faintly. "And in truth, you have already won." Outside, the fleets of the Council moved into defensive formation. But one by one, their ships powered down their weapons. Captains across the galaxy began transmitting a single message: recognition, humanity, founding species of the Galactic Accord. The words spread like wildfire. Even on worlds where humans had been forgotten, the message appeared in the skies, burned into memory. Inside the chamber, the speaker collapsed to his knees, defeated. "You'll destroy everything we built," he whispered. Arin looked at him and said softly, "Then maybe it's time to build something better." Mira stepped closer. "Sir, transmissions are coming in from every sector. Entire worlds pledging allegiance, not to power, but to the old promise. Equality. Unity." Arin nodded. "Then let them remember the truth of who we were and who we still are." He turned to face the glowing throne once more. The seat of Earth pulsed gently, the light softer now, peaceful. It no longer raged. It no longer mourned. It simply waited. Arin touched it one last time. "The seat isn't just ours," he said. "It belongs to all who refuse to kneel before lies." Mira smiled. "And what happens now?" Arin looked up at the stars above, his voice calm. "Now, the galaxy remembers. From one end of the cosmos to the other, the message spread. The humans have returned. The seat of Earth is no longer empty, and they bow to no one." The council hall lights dimmed, leaving the glowing seat as the only source of light. For the first time in 1,000 years, it no longer looked lonely. The galaxy had changed overnight. From the frozen moons of Vega to the red deserts of Karsis, beings of every race spoke the same name in wonder: humanity. For centuries, it had been a myth whispered by rebels and dreamers. Now it was truth burning across the stars. The grand hall of the Galactic Council, once filled with arrogance and politics, stood quiet. The walls that had echoed with centuries of lies now carried only one sound: the hum of the seat of Earth, glowing softly in calm blue light. Captain Arin Vale stood before it, no longer a stranger or a ghost. The galaxy had seen him take the seat, but he had left it soon after. He didn't stay to rule. He didn't want a throne. He wanted something greater, a beginning. Beside him stood Lieutenant Mira Solis, her eyes scanning the reports flashing on the holographic screens. "Messages from every sector, sir. Treaties being rewritten. Borders dissolving. The Council is restructuring under a new charter." Arin smiled faintly. "Good. Let them build it right this time." The reptilian elder counselor approached slowly, leaning on his staff. "Your people could rule again, Captain. The galaxy would follow you now." Arin shook his head. "We didn't come to rule. We came to remind," the elder nodded, "and that you have done." Outside, the Earthborn Fleet drifted above Lumeris Prime. Their ships no longer pointed weapons, but sent signals of peace and alliance. Old enemies reached out for friendship. Ancient grudges began to fade under the weight of a single truth: Earth had returned, not as conquerors, but as teachers. Mira turned to Arin. "Sir, people are calling it the dawn of remembering." He looked toward the stars. "A fitting name." Then quietly he said, Prepare the message. She nodded and opened a channel to the entire galaxy. The blue light of the seat brightened, connecting their signal across millions of worlds. Every being, rich or poor, powerful or weak, saw Arin Vale standing once again before the glowing symbol of Earth. "We are not here to claim vengeance," Arin began. "We are not here to take what was lost. We came because the galaxy forgot what unity means. It forgot what courage looks like. It forgot that freedom is not given, it is remembered." He paused, his eyes steady. "You erased us, but you could never erase the idea of us. Because humanity was never just one world, it was a belief that no one should kneel, that no one should be silenced, that even in the darkest void, a single spark can light the stars again." Mira's voice trembled softly. "You think they'll listen?" Arin smiled. "They already are." On distant worlds, beings stood together in silence. A miner on Korafor lifted his head to the sky. A child on Sarin whispered the word Earth like a prayer. Even the Speaker of the Council, once proud and cruel, now sat quietly in his chambers, staring at the image of the blue planet and realizing how small his empire truly was. In the void between galaxies, the Earthborn ships began their return. But not to Earth, it was still too far, still scarred by time. They set their course toward a small, uninhabited world near the core. Mira looked at the map. "This world has no name," Arin replied. "Then we'll give it one." He typed a single word into the system. The star charts updated instantly, broadcasting to every ship, New Terra, their new home, not to replace the old, but to continue its story. Weeks passed. The galaxy began to heal. The Council rebuilt itself, now including members from every species, including the newly recognized humans. The words, "We bow to no one," were carved above the new chamber doors, not as defiance, but as a promise that no being would ever again be forgotten. The seat of Earth remained in the hall, but it no longer glowed with fury. Its light was soft now, like a heartbeat. It had served its purpose, to awaken memory, and so one morning it dimmed completely. The Council thought it had died. But Mira knew better. She turned to Arin and whispered, "It's sleeping." He nodded. "It's done its duty. The rest is up to us." That night, Arin stood on the balcony of New Terra's command base, staring at the stars. The sky was filled with ships, human and alien, working together for the first time in centuries. Mira joined him. "Do you think they'll really change?" Arin didn't look away from the horizon. "Change takes time, but today they remember us. And tomorrow, they'll remember themselves." The two officers stood in silence, watching a sunrise unlike any other, the dawn of a new age. Far away, in the depths of the galaxy, faint blue lights flickered in forgotten corners of space, remnants of human outposts awakening after centuries of sleep. They heard the signal too. They knew it was time. The galaxy that once erased Earth's name now spoke it with respect. Children learned its history in schools. Statues were rebuilt. Songs were written. And every year, on the day the seat awakened, the Council gathered to speak the same words, not as humans, not as aliens, but as one people beneath the same stars. We left our seat empty not out of fear, but faith. Faith that one day the galaxy would remember. And when they said it, every screen in the galaxy showed the same image, the blue planet, shining quietly in the dark, alive again in the hearts of those who remembered. As the light of New Terra's sun broke the horizon, Mira smiled softly. "What now, Captain?" Arin looked toward the stars, his eyes steady and calm. "Now," he said, "we begin again.